Welcome back to my channel, baddies. I'm 1000% holding the camera with my phone because this is a ratchet YouTube channel and you already know. I'm going to teach you how to make this beauty queen right here. Sorry that my face is greasy. You already know how I do things. I'm a slimy little sausage link. I've been sweating all day. But this is just who I am, you know? You know what I'm saying? But guys, I'm gonna show you how to make this and I hope that you love it. Also, if you guys wanna get a hold of me or tag me in your creations, I'm gonna link my YouTube, not my YouTube. I'm gonna link my Instagram in the description so you guys can follow me. I'll be doing some amazing things coming up soon that you won't wanna miss. So definitely make sure you're following me on Instagram so you don't miss some big announcements. My beautiful angels, let's get started. We are going to be using double-sided tape. I'm going to link this in the description. It comes with several different sizes. You can kind of mold this design however you want, guys. You can use the same sizes that I did, or you can mess around with it. You guys know I don't measure, but I just stand the tumbler straight up like that so I could see exactly where the other line is, and then I just put them straight across from each other, okay? And then, honestly, while I was doing this, I kind of just like went with the flow and kind of tweaked the design as I was going. The other day, so how all of this came about is the other day I was trying to make a serape tumbler. Now, if you guys have seen the beautiful serape tumblers that are made completely out of glitter, those are made using double-sided tape. And the other day I was trying to do something cool and I messed it up. But I got an idea in the process and I was like, wow, why have I not tried to create beautiful designs using double-sided tape? Like, it doesn't make sense. It would give you the perfect lines. Now in this tumbler, there's gonna be some sections where the lines aren't perfect, but that's honestly my mistake, hee hee. So what I did is I basically started and kind of created almost like a V. I created, with the same size tape, the larger one, I started at the bottom and kind of wrapped it around. And the cool thing about this, you guys, is that you can use whatever color combinations you want. You can do as many or as little lines as you want. Okay, now what I did was I literally just applied it like if you were applying vinyl strips. You cut just under the rim to make sure that your epoxy goes right over it when you seal. And then I was just kind of sizing it, measuring it, trying to make sure that all sizes were even. Now, throughout this tumbler, you're going to see some sections where you're like, ooh, that's not even. And those are things that I didn't notice while I was doing it, like while I was putting the pieces of tape together. But there are a lot of ways to fix that when you're glittering or when you're adding vinyl strips. This is also a design that you don't have to add vinyl strips to at the end. The original one that I made is on my Instagram. It's like a really beautiful opal and like peachy pink. And that's the one that I originally made when I started like coming up with this design. This one was my second tumbler, so I kind of got a little bit more creative with this one and started adding like a few extra things. And then I wanted to add vinyl strips at the end just to give it like more depth and to see like, you know, just how far I could take the design and how many things we can add to it. So the possibilities are going to be endless for you guys. I mean, you guys are going to be able to do so many things with this, so many colors, so many vinyl options. You could even use washi tape if you wanted to. I mean, just so many awesome things. Now, what I did after I had these thick pieces of tape was I took the smaller sizes. I think this roll of tape came with 7 different sizes, so you guys can use whatever sizes you want. I decided to stick with 3 sizes and I just kind of alternated them around the tumbler. Now here, as you can see, I'm literally just going right inside of that thick tape line and adding a thin strip, and I'm gonna do that on every side of those thick strips, okay? And what that's gonna do is that's gonna add that really pretty skinny blue line that you guys saw in my tumbler. So just be cautious whenever you're applying the tape, that you're making sure that you're keeping the pattern the same so that it matches all the way around the tumbler. And you can add as many sizes as you want. You can alternate the pattern as much as you want. This is just me giving you an example of one design, but you guys really could take this and kind of run with it. I didn't really come up with a name for this tumbler like I did for the diamond, but I don't know. What do you guys think we should call it? The Myra, the Nugget, the Naira? I don't know. But whatever you guys decide to call it, please tag me because I want to see your beautiful recreations. Sometimes I make a tumbler and I'm like, ooh, this is so cute. And then you guys tag me after you remake it and I'm like, okay, but this is way cuter. Like, you guys, sometimes you guys do way cuter things with the cups that I make and I'm like, okay, wow, okay, that she's creative. Like, she used cuter colors, she used this, da-da-da. So I love seeing when you guys make the tumblers. So anyway, guys, that's basically all I did to create this design. Is I created my foundation. Ooh, that sounds so like official. Like, that sounds so like, look at me explaining things so wonderfully and amazingly. I laid my foundation, which was the thick pieces of tape, okay? And then I basically just took the thinner and the skinnier piece, the thinner one, and then the skinniest piece of tape, and I just kind of went around and added them to the sides of the thick lines. So basically everything that you do and all of the extra lines that you add are going to be going on either side of the thick tape that you lay first. Now, if you wanted to challenge this design even more, you could do all skinny things, all skinny lines, and just kind of mess with it and make it your own. I mean, guys, the possibilities are endless, and how I've never tried to create a design using not washi tape, but double-sided tape blows my mind, because of course we love using Mod Podge. That's amazing, right? Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's so amazing to be able to apply your vinyl, not your vinyl. Guys, what is happening right now? Why do you watch me? Just kidding. Please don't ever leave me. But it's so amazing to be able to apply your double-sided tape, create the pattern that you want. And then the next step that comes after this is just peeling off sections of that tape and applying your glitter. It was so satisfying and so fun to make because I feel like it really allowed me to create like depth in the tumbler and like just whatever pattern I wanted. Now, I did go back in with the thick piece of tape after I added 2 lines on either side of that thick tape and added some more thick tape, just because here I was just making up a pattern in my head. And I know it's kind of hard for you guys to see like where the tape ends and begins. You're like, all I see is white. But once you guys create this design in person, you're going to be able to see exactly where you're placing the lines, and you're going to be able to really follow that design that you're making. Now, if you're going to use a white base, it's going to be challenging for you to tell the lines apart, which is why I recommend spray painting your cup a darker base, so that when you're applying the vinyl strips, you can keep better track. You can keep better track of all of that stuff, okay? And as you can see here, it's just like adding vinyl strips. Every single time I added double-sided tape, I just went in there with my X-Acto knife and cut off the edges just to make it fit like a puzzle piece. I am doing such a great job of explaining how to make this tumbler, guys. I'm really proud of myself. I think I'm gonna go get Burger King after this just because I feel like I've earned it with my hard work. Okay, so then I ended up just adding this one piece of double-sided tape in the middle of this section right here, just because I wanted to add a little oomph, a little pizzazz, a little sprinkle of something, okay? And then once you're done, you just take an X-Acto knife or a weeding tool and you remove all the tape that you want to be the same color. So in this case, I'm removing the thickest tape that I placed around the tumbler, and I am going to apply glitter to those sections, okay? And this is the fun part. This is where you get to decide what lines are going to be what color and what you're going to do with what. And once you have removed the backing off of that double-sided tape, you just come in with your glitter. I'm using, because it's Wednesday, from Maestra Creations. She's a really sweet friend of mine, and I will have a discount code for you guys in the description, so make sure you save some money and also support me while you're saving money. It's a win-win. So what I did was I just went around and sprinkled that glitter over all the sections that were exposed. Now, a tip that I have for you guys is once you are done applying all of your double-sided tape and you've created the design that you like, take your sausage fingers, your booger hooks, whatever you want to call them, and push down that backing of the tape on all of the lines on the tape all the way around the tumbler, so that whenever you're sprinkling your first color, it's not going to sneak into another line and contaminate it. Sometimes that backing can lift a little bit, so you just want to make sure that you press it down nice and good so that you're not cross-contaminating your colors. Okay, now a tip that I give you is to go over the tape with glitter twice. Okay, you're gonna get a lot of glitter on it that first go around, but you are gonna have little pieces of exposed tape in certain areas that didn't grab onto any glitter. So just to make sure that you are completely covering those areas with tape with glitter, so that when you come in and add a different color, it's not gonna stick to where the pink is supposed to be. You just need to go over again, you know, flood it with glitter. Okay, that's not a good example. That's not a good word to use, but just sprinkle as much glitter over it as you can and then push it down with your fingers, okay? Like just push it down so that it's really sticking to the tape and so that you can make sure that there's gonna be no pieces of exposed tape that are gonna catch a different color, right? So this whole time, you just wanna make sure you're not cross-contaminating. And I went around and I did this around every single strip. I did one coat, and then I came back and I did a second coat, and I just pushed down with my fingers and made sure that I was really covering all my base and just making it super nice and crisp and straight and beautiful and thick like me. Okay, guys, so once you're done doing this, okay, once you're done going over all of this twice, and just once you know that there's no pieces of exposed tape and that your colors are not going to contaminate, okay, you just take a dry brush. As you guys can see, I kind of banged it on the bottom so that all of that excess glitter would fall off. And then I just take a dry brush and I kind of go in between and I sweep off the excess glitter, okay? Just making sure that it's gonna fall off. And the reason you wanna do this is because whenever you remove all of the other lines of double-sided tape that you're going to be using, you don't want any of this pink glitter to sneak on top of it and contaminate it. So take your time, excuse me? What? Talking is hard, guys, which is crazy because I do it a lot. So you want to make sure you take your time doing this step and that you're truly brushing off as much excess as you can. I even took this outside and blew on it like, I had to give you an example of how to blow because you never know, you know what I'm saying? Just to make sure that I was getting all of that glitter off, okay? I even dry brushed it a little bit just to make sure that no glitter was going to come off. And then I went ahead and started removing the thinner the thinner double-sided tape. I started removing the backing on all of those so that I could add my second color. And I am so excited. I think that it's so easy to make a tumbler this way. Imagine if you were if you were using Mod Podge to do all of these lines, it would take forever. And then it would be almost impossible to get the lines perfectly straight. But using double-sided tape, you can't go wrong. Now, I'm always going to be honest with you guys, okay? I'm always going to be honest with you guys because you're important to me and I don't ever want to give you like false information. And so I always want my tutorials to be honest. There's one downside, in my opinion, to the double-sided tape, but it's fixable. You know, so for the time that it's going to save you and for the fact that it's going to be able to give you accurate lines, to me, it's worth it. But for example, here, you can see me using blue. And as you can see, because we had to use a pink base, that blue is not really popping the way that it should be popping. Now, I know that this is just the first coat of glitter, and I know that we're going to come back and do a second coat. But even after I did my second coat of glitter, I still felt like it wasn't doing this beautiful teal any justice. And so I went ahead and after I patted it down and brushed off any excess and made sure that I had full coverage, I went in with a brush and some Mod Podge just to do a third coat of glitter over that blue. You don't have to do that. You guys can, as you can see, it does look teal and it is beautiful, but I wanted it to really pop and be like a true teal. So that's why I decided to go in and do a third coat. It did take me quite a while. I think it took me about 20 minutes to get it all done, but I was watching Grey's Anatomy, so it was totally fine. I was distracted and it was worth it to me because in the end, I like how it made that really pretty blue teal pop a lot more. But like I said, that's an extra step that you guys don't have to do. I only did it because I was being super picky about how bright I wanted the color to be. So please feel free to skip that step if you want to. So like I said, you guys, you're just gonna repeat the same process. You're gonna go all the way around the tumbler. You're gonna pat down that glitter and make it really stick to that double-sided tape, okay? Because that's really gonna help you. That's really gonna help you make sure that you don't cross-contaminate your glitters. And that you're going to come back and do a different color and it's going to stick to where the blue is supposed to be because there was an exposed piece of tape. So I know it's an annoying step, but I can't stress enough going over a second time and just making sure that you got every single piece of that tape covered in glitter. Now, as you guys can see here, the blue is beautiful. It looks beautiful. It doesn't need a third coat, but again, I am just ridiculous and I really wanted that blue to really super duper pop. So I went ahead and went around the entire tumbler, applied Mod Podge. It was a pain in the butt, so thank the Lord that this was the only one that I had to do by hand. But it was so worth it to me in the end because I felt like I got that really pretty bright teal coming through, which is what I wanted. Okay, now whatever your third color is going to be, you're going to apply by hand. Okay, I mean with Mod Podge. So I went ahead, but it's easy because usually those sections are big and they're like, you don't have to do precise little lines. And pretty much since everything else is glittered, you kind of have that guide. You kind of have that guide to do your white, where your white is going to go. I used opal. Now, because I used opal and the base is pink, I went ahead and did 2 coats just to get that bright opal. I did 2 coats of epoxy, okay? Got it to this point. I'm sorry that I didn't film the epoxy part, but I film it in every single video, so you guys can go back and look at last week's video and you'll see me epoxying. Okay, so once I did 2 coats and let them completely dry, I came in with my vinyl strips, okay? Now, I'm going to put the measurement for these vinyl strips in the description of my video, but I feel like vinyl strips are something that it's very personal for you and customizable to you. So I think that it's something that you need to play around with and determine how thick you want those vinyl strips to be. I wanted mine to be super thin because I didn't want them to overpower the design. I just wanted them to be part of it. So I made them super duper skinny. And like I said, it took a few tries. I cut out like a few different sizes and just kind of messed with it until I found the one that worked for my design. So whenever it comes to vinyl strips, I can absolutely give you the measurements that I used, but I think that you can adjust that to however you like it. Now, I'm using a stainless steel tumbler. It is a 32-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia. I am going to have a link in the description, and I am also going to have a discount code for you guys so you can save some money and support me while you're saving money so I can have some chicken nugget money and eat chicken nuggets every day for the rest of my life, even if I end up turning into a chicken nugget. It would be worth it. So guys, whenever I add vinyl strips, and I know I've pretty much talked about this step in all of my videos that have vinyl strips, but when I get up to the rim, I cut just underneath the rim so that when I go over that with epoxy to seal the vinyl strips, it goes right over the vinyl strip and adheres to the tumbler, okay? You want to do that so that you have like a really, really tight seal and you just don't want your tumbler to be compromised, especially because you're working so hard on it, okay? And this part with the vinyl strips, I think is pretty self-explanatory. You're just gonna go on the outside of every line and, highlight it with your vinyl strips. And then you're just gonna make those little cuts wherever the 2 pieces of vinyl strip meet so that they fit perfectly. The example I used earlier was perfect. You want it to fit just like a puzzle. So just kind of follow the pattern of the lines and just make your cuts accordingly, okay? This was the fun part for me because for me, this was the part where I'm like, okay, I already epoxied. I already did all my glitter. Like the glitter looks beautiful. This was the part that pulled the design together for me. And like I said, you get super straight lines using double-sided tape. So if you didn't want to use these vinyl strips, you don't have to. You could leave your design as it is. I did mess up on one of the parts that I glittered, but it's one of the parts that I glittered by hand. And also, you might not even notice it unless you look too hard, but I am keeping this tumbler for myself. So I was okay with one of the opal parts being a little crooked and uneven. So after I was done, I sealed my vinyl strips with quick coat. I didn't have my camera on when I was doing that part, but if you go to Saturday's video, I show you guys how I seal my vinyl strips with quick coat. So once that dried, I came in and I did 30 mLs of epoxy. I wanted it to be a pretty generous coat so that I could have this be the final coat and be done, because I was so excited and anxious and just ready to get this tumbler done. So I came back, I did 30 mLs of epoxy. I popped all my bubbles with a torch. I let it spin for 24 hours, and that's it, you guys. This is what you have to do to create this design, okay? Make sure you're very thorough with your epoxy. I always like to take my time and just make sure I'm not missing any spots. So I start from the bottom and I rub my finger up just to make sure I don't miss anything. And thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me a comment. This is the final product, and I will be back on Saturday with another tutorial. Besitos!